The first thing I wanted to talk about with you is the whole issue of the army in Israel. And there's a big debate in religious communities around what should be the priority, learning versus fighting, whether it's right that some people don't, um, and they learn instead, and they would argue, and some would argue that's just as important in a military in a military war, that we have the spiritual protection and all that. But this person who was very much that I was talking to was very much in the camp of, we have to fight. Sorry, we have to learn. We have to have people learning. He was arguing to me that he said, look, what are we fighting for if we don't, if there aren't people that are learning, if there aren't people that are upholding the Torah and all these things? We have to preserve who we are. And it's incredible people that devote so much of their time to learning. But then where it started to get, I felt, into slightly uh, uncomfortable territory where I just didn't feel that this reflects certainly your teaching was he actually said that learning is an even higher pursuit than those fighting on the front lines losing their lives. He said we are even, those who are learning are even higher spiritually, and that just really jarred with me. And I kind of wanted to discuss with you what's going on in this mindset that's leading people to think that. Because I saw you in a discussion where you were saying to someone, look, the heart, you're arguing that people and Jews of all religious backgrounds should be on the front line, should be fighting, and you said, you want to talk spiritually, what could be a greater mitzvah than protecting your fellow Jew? Right? That is the highest mitzvah of all. That's what is the last thing we learned about Moshe and Moshe's praise for, the fact that he put the people first. You say the same thing with Purim. Esther puts the people first over the law by suspending Pesach, the laws of Passover and the Seder, so that people should fast to protect the people. And the thing that I'm sensing that I'm learning from you, having spent a lot of time listening to your ideas, is that it seems to me that what you teach is that it's not it's not just the mitzvot and the Torah learning that are seen as such an important part of serving God, but it's actually the act of going into physicality, doing the hard hishtadlut, putting the effort in. And that is, in some ways, it seems to me like you're saying that, with the spies, we didn't want to go into the land of Israel. We preferred our spiritual, comfortable existence where everything was divine, everything was miraculous. And part of the mistake is not appreciating that the whole point of Torah is to conquer the land, possess the land, meaning bring all these ideas into a physical, natural world. And so part of the discussion where we kind of couldn't see eye to eye was, this person seemed to feel that the hishtadlut, the going into the physical world, which in this case would be the fighting, the battles, he saw that very much as a necessary evil, I suppose. Whereas it seems like you're kind of saying, actually, this going into the physical, doing the hard work of bringing our faith and our, mitzvah into daily life, it's not just a necessary evil, hishtadlid. It's in some ways just as valuable and essential as mitzvah and Torah learning. So it's quite a long introduction to a question, but this is obviously a huge debate, which, and there's lots of evolving opinions at the moment in different religious communities. And I just wanted to give you the space to unpack what I've said, unpack the conversation I was having, because I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of confusion out there about this whole issue.
And you might add that King Shaul, was head and shoulders above the rest, physically and spiritually. And he lost the kingdom because he didn't kill Agag. It sounds a little more than just a necessary evil. It sounds like a spiritual failure. Spiritual failure.
Hmm.
So really the distinction between the spiritual and the physical shouldn't exist. It's all a question of what is godly and what is ungodly. Spiritual can be ungodly, and the physical can be very godly. So you skip the spiritual and go to the godly, and then the spiritual and the physical are equally potentially godly. Leaving Agag alive was a violation, not just a violation of a commandment, it's a violation of the purpose of the commandment. Why was it so important to God that Agag not be alive? Somehow removing him from the world would have furthered God's plan and God's purpose greatly. So actually what you're presenting is two different questions. What's more important, the study of Torah or the lives of a Jew, of Jewish lives? Very different questions. Defending the people of Israel, defending the lifestyle of Judaism, they're not comparable. They shouldn't be confused. Of course, protecting Torah, protecting mitzvahs, protecting Jewish lifestyle. Why else do you go to war? Let's take it out of the context of Torah. Why do people go to war?
To protect their societies.
To protect their lifestyle,
Mm.
surrender to the enemy and live their lifestyle.
Right.
No, no, we're protecting our lifestyle. We're a democracy. We protect democracy. And everybody's okay with that. Of course, you protect your lifestyle. Otherwise, what are you fighting over? Happens to be that the lifestyle of a Jew is the study of Torah. So, yes, you're fighting for those who are at home living your life. Is it worth fighting for? Yes, it's worth fighting, but it doesn't compare. Protecting the lives of Jews. So, really, what it boils down to is which is more important, the Torah or the Jew? And I think it's pretty clear that as much as we would be completely meaningless without Torah, the Jewish life comes first. So the huge mitzvah of going to war in Israel today is to defend the lives, not before you defend the lifestyle. And in that, there should be no debate and no question and no discussion at all. And there's no question also that if you don't fight the enemy, it's not the Torah that's at stake, it's Jewish lives.
Mm.
So that should be crystal clear. Now, is it worth fighting over Torah? Yes, of course, even more than fighting over democracy, or freedom of speech. So either way, today being a soldier in Israel is the ultimate mitzvah. Of course, that wouldn't make sense for everyone to go fight, because then who are you protecting? The women and the children. Yeah, okay, that would be legitimate. But the women are also going to war. So we're all fighting to protect our children. And in order to protect our children, you have to abandon them. both mother and father are off to war. I don't know. It gets a little.
But what do you say to those that say part of our military effort has to be having people in learning, and that is a part of the spiritual warfare that's the warfare that's needed?
That is true too. If we want miracles, and we do want miracles, and we're seeing miracles in the battlefield, is that because the soldiers are so talented, or is it because our cause is just? So, yeah, studying Torah does defend us. It gives us the right, it gives us the courage, it gives us the justification. We're protecting something very precious.
So do you think that it's fair to have and right to have, people of fighting age, having some of them being in the halls of study rather than on the battlefield? Do you think that's a fair, the right way to go still?
Yeah, except it puts a big onus on the studier, on the students. The soldier is risking his life for the mitzvah that he is performing. The guy's sitting there having coffee and getting around to the study eventually. Where is his Mesiras Nefesh? Can you compare the two? But if he is studying with a devotion, something like Mesiras Nefesh, that's pretty awesome. Casual, relaxed study does not compete with the soldier risking his life
And in
in
terms of
terms
the
of
sure.
spiritual value.
Hmm. But in terms of the social norms and social cohesion in Israel, do you think the way the system is at the moment, where really whether you fight or whether you learn just depends on the family you're born into it in most of the time, do you think that that system is a good idea, or do you think there should be a different way of having this spiritual versus physical split?
It's a natural process. I mean, who goes to medical school? Usually people from richer families whose parents are in medical. So yeah, it kind of runs in the families. But the ideal would be, are you really committed to learning? Or is that just a comfortable lifestyle for you? In other words, do you get up and put in the effort in any way comparable to the efforts of a soldier?
Hmm.
And that's how you should be studying Torah. Yeah, but to start questioning is like questioning every soldier's commitment. How committed are you really? Are
Right.
you there with your whole heart? That's not nice.
Hmm.
But in principle, yeah, many of the students who are sitting there and studying, they're not they're not putting out the effort.
And in terms of what this person said to me, where they said actually the learning is even higher than the people fighting on the front lines, risking their lives, losing their lives, injuring themselves severely. Do you think that there should be and needs to be a normalized view in the world of those learning, that those who are on the front lines are not just doing some kind of hishtadlut that's a necessary evil, but we're the ones really saving the day, but rather they are actually doing a mitzvah that could be higher than all others?
Look, in the sense of, if God forbid the Jewish soldiers who are out there fighting are not winning the war, is it still a mitzvah? Like, is the mitzvah to win the war, or is the mitzvah to fight the war? Obviously, whether they win or lose, the mitzvah is the same.
Mm.
What will guarantee the success of this mitzvah? So you remember fighting Amalek, when Moshe's hands were raised, they win. Moshe's hands. So there is a spiritual, obviously, there's a strong spiritual element that provides, like we said before, that provides the miraculous victories. So if you're talking about miraculous um, intervention, yeah, the Torah study brings that. But if you're talking about sheer devotion, commitment, and self sacrifice, no comparison.
The other thing we're of course forgetting is that there's a huge amount of Torah learning and mitzvot practiced among our soldiers as well. You know, it's not always one or the other.
That's pretty awesome.
It's incredible.
And it's not just the Jews in Israel who are studying. Every yeshiva bocher
Mm.
should be studying with a greater intensity, with a greater commitment, because if you want to compare yourself to the soldiers, well, you're going to have to try a little harder.
Mm. Yeah. And this issue of, you know, possessing the land in the philosophical sense of doing the hard work of, you know, whether it's fighting wars or building businesses or whatever, is it your view that that is, you know, if you do it in a godly fashion and do it for the sake of the right purpose, then that is equally as important as mitzvot and Torah learning, or is it still subservient to the mitzvah and the Torah?
And we can argue either way. It's the Torah that makes the physical godly. Making the physical godly is the ultimate purpose. So you want to talk purpose, or you want to talk the power? Where do we get the power of elevating the physical and turning it into something godly? From the Torah, from the mitzvah. But why would you do a mitzvah to elevate a physical? Isn't the Torah for itself justified? And yet the Torah was not given to the angels in heaven,
Hmm.
who would probably do a great job, but it wouldn't affect the physical. So you can say, oh, the mitzvahs are more important because only the mitzvah can make the physical holy, which is true. On the other hand, if you do the
What's the point?
mitzvah without making the physical holy, you're missing the whole point.
Hmm.
What's going to happen after the physical becomes holy? When Mashiach comes, then we will do the mitzvah for its own sake, not to fix, but to luxuriate in the mitzvahs. Will that be better? Well, yeah, we accomplished our mission. The physical has been elevated. On the other hand, it'll feel a little. That's why we're told that after Mashiach comes, we will look back at Gullus nostalgically. Oh, those were good days when we were fighting the good fight.
What would it mean to luxuriate in mitzvahs? Does that mean that we sort of just have a much deeper experience of it, an understanding of what it is that we're doing?
It's like the ideal marriage after 50 years. What are you doing? Getting to know each other? You know each other.
Hmm.
Now what do? Now you just wallow in the pleasure of being together. Well, that's not a good word, but you get the idea.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Wallow is not a positive image.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.